Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu-alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair agale, ni hao, chunashumme, washmale. Ohai Gonzaimas, guten Morgen. Hola, bonjour, privet, kaifahal. Hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, bhalli kiraya, hosh gyaldin, anayo sayo, kuyamora, adab and salam pagi. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTV World. You're certainly watching World this morning on a fine Friday morning over here in Islamabad, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, I think before we get started, it's about time that we take a good look at the top stories and what's happening inside Pakistan and outside Pakistan in the field of politics, in what our government is up to, and not just that, in the field of sports too as well. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, jumping onto the top stories. First up, obviously, I think it's a big news out there as well, where the British newspaper Daily Mail apologized to Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and his family for levelling allegations of embezzlement against them. In their statement, the Daily Mail accepted that Shehbaz Sharif has never been accused of any wrongdoing and admitted their error. Since the publication of the report, the Prime Minister has maintained that he was not involved in any wrongdoing and also approached the court in the UK challenging the allegation, resulting in an apology from the Daily Mail. But I think there needs to be more than an apology. I mean, imagine that such newspapers can come out, defame, write a story, and then eventually, after a year or so, that tough time which, you know, obviously the Prime Minister of Islamic Republic of Pakistan might have been through just because of the fact that somebody was leveling allegations against them must have been quite tougher. Having said that, I think that, you know, there needs to be more than just apologizing. I think there needs to be a penalty, and for that, you know, so that Daily Mail can actually be responsible in near future. And these are the things that we really need to look very closely as well. But it's a good news for the Premier of Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Said congratulations. We already knew it, even though that they have leveled these baseless allegations against you. But congratulations to the entire government of Pakistan and to the Prime Minister, Mian Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif Saab as well. But now, ladies and gentlemen, moving on, where Women Business Network, I think this is a good one, where Women Business Network have paved the way for delivering gender inclusion agenda for Pakistan at the recent event of Women Biz 2022 meetup in Islamabad. The Women Biz 2022 meetup brought together from corporate, government sector, embassies and women chambers across the country. The forum, convened by WBN, discussed the challenges and opportunities of gender inclusion in Pakistan and moved from dialogues and talks to definitive actions and initiatives taken by government, various corporates and women networks to improve the representation and inclusion of women in economic growth of Pakistan. Wonderful. So it might not be a top story, and, you know, we might not have it in our cue sheet as well, but since I happen to be a pro active cricketer myself, ladies and gentlemen, the second test match is underway in Multan against England and Pakistan. Obviously, I think we really need to congratulate Abrar over here because he's got his test debut cap today as well. So we want to wish them best of luck as well. But now coming down to what I wanted to share with you guys, that Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, almost at all fronts is doing wonderful things as well. We really need to take you back to Netherlands Embassy, where you know, there was this ceremony which was held, and it happens to be the Tulip Award, which was given to one of our human rights activists. So imagine that on Islamabad, 8th December 2022, Ambassador of the Netherlands to Pakistan, Her Excellency Mrs. Henny de Vares, will presented the Embassy Human Rights Tulip Award 2022 to lawyer and human rights defender Mr. Saqib Jilani for his outstanding work for promoting human rights and defending human rights defenders. The ceremony took place yesterday. The Embassy Tulip is an annual award of the Dutch government for outstanding and courageous human rights defenders. Through the award, the Netherlands support human rights defenders to continue their work to share their story. Human rights are always about people, the people that are protected by human rights, but also the people who selflessly work to defend, protect and develop human rights, said Ambassador de Vares. Mr. Jilani is a prominent example of a courageous human rights defender working on equal rights for all. As a lawyer, Mr. Jilani has represented women, religious minorities and civil society organizations in cases related to human rights violations. Since 2018, he has been defending a woman in a long-drawn and heavily contested Me Too-related defamation case. This litigation has raised fundamental questions relating to women's right to report sexual harassment without fear or intimidation of defamation proceedings. freedom of speech as well as whether defamation law can be used as a tool to silence victims of sexual harassment.
A great honor to be here and to receive this prestigious Dutch government Tulip Human Rights Award. I feel honored not just for myself but for the country also.
Would you like to think about the continuation of these types of awards in future?
Today we gave the Human Rights Tulip Award to Mr. Saqib Jilani. The Human Rights Tulip Award is given in several countries across the globe by the Netherlands government to highlight the need for democracy and human rights and to defend those human rights and democratic values. Now we work a lot, of course.
So congratulations to Mr. Saqib Jilani for raising your voice and making sure that you're going to be providing that platform to people where they might not have spoken about sexual harassment, and then defending their human rights as well. And then upon receiving the Embassy Tulip Award as well, and that too on behalf of the Dutch government. Thank you very much to the Netherlands Embassy and Her Excellency as well. But the best part over here was that I was available. You know, I even asked my producer, sir, I'm available, but my producer thought that, okay, I'm going to go myself. So hats off to you, sir, that you actually jumped outside the box and you did something which we were supposed to do as well. So thank you very much for covering our and, watching our back. I think this is something which is really important. So imagine right at the beginning of this story, I told you that Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, has been on every front, may it be when we speak about exports, may it be when we speak about sports, may it be when we speak about information technology. Now, when we speak about information technology earlier, when given that Pakistan was an agrarian society and our economy was dependent on agriculture, imagine that on number two, now when we talk about exports, it's information technology. And it has increased many folds. When we speak about Pakistan, it has increased 50%. So imagine that, for the longest period of time, Pakistan wanted to host these awards over here. And when we talk about these awards, ladies and gentlemen, these are no ordinary awards. These are just like the Oscars at Hollywood. So imagine that when we speak about APTICTA awards, for the very first time over here in Pakistan, people from different economies coming down and, venturing into, because it's not a conference, it's not an exhibition. We have a jury over here who will actually decide who contributed how much, and depending on that, they will be receiving their awards too as well. There are a lot of things, because the inaugural session, ladies and gentlemen, of the APTICTA actually took place at the Prime Minister House. Mia Mohammed Shahbaz Sharif Saab was over there at the inaugural ceremony. Just yesterday, it was the welcome night. Today, it was going to be the Pakistan night as well. But I want my Pakistani brothers and sisters to understand that how big of an achievement it is for Pakistan to finally host them. We did try to host them twice previously, but unfortunately, we couldn't manage to do it. And now finally, alhamdulillah, over here, today it's happening. We're very lucky that we've been joined by a gentleman over here who happens to be the chair of the APTICTA Awards as well. But before I get into that, I really need my Pakistani people, because we go out in more than 46 countries. I want people and audiences to understand. And that is that, that all of this is happening because of the Ministry of Information Technology. First of all, the credit needs to be given where it is important. And I always talk about it. Wherever credit is due, please make sure that you give them that credit as well. Then I would like to thank the Pakistan Software Export Board and the Tech Destination Pakistan. Not just that, obviously, we are going to come somewhat up to $2.6 billion annually if we kind of continue to have progression in the information technology sector. And all we need to do is that we really need to change the perceptions over here, ladies and gentlemen. We really need to break those myths as well. So all of these gentlemen and ladies who are actually coming from different economies down to Pakistan, they've been all over the place in Islamabad. They've been to Munal, so I'll certainly be talking about that. But first up, obviously, the priority is obviously the APTICTA Awards, which are taking place for the very first time in Pakistan. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce this legendary figure over here inside the studios who happens to be with us. He happens to be the Councillor of the National Association of Malaysia, Chairman of APTICTA Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Mr. Stan Singh Jeet. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam, and thank you. Good morning. Thank you
so much. Good morning, and
Excellent.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here in Pakistan.
And thank you so much for the opportunity that I can be here as well.
And it's likewise, sir. It's an honor for us. It's an honor for Pakistan to host the Oscars of the IT industry. And to be very honest, sir, first things first, because Pakistan, yesterday I was at Serena to myself preparing for today, because I knew that you're going to be here today as well. So first things first, because we did try twice previously, we couldn't manage to do it. How come Now finally, alhamdulillah, Pakistan is hosting the APTICTA Awards, the first ever in Pakistan.
I think that's a great question. It's exciting to look at from all angles. As you know, that perhaps you already mentioned that Pakistan could not succeed twice.
Yeah.
But it's on the third time they tried again. And this was the event post-pandemic. As you know, in 2020, we couldn't hold the award. So in 2021, we held it 2 years, one for 2 years.
Yeah.
And we held it in Malaysia to make sure that the host economy can actually take that through.
True.
But during the bidding process, we had two economies that came on board. One was, of course, Pakistan, the other was Indonesia. And frankly, I was very confident that the award would go to Pakistan. I was very confident.
All right.
Because they've been bidding it for a while. Number two, they've never hosted it before,
Yes.
compared to Indonesia, who has done it twice. So therefore, I thought the odds were not against them.
Yeah.
But during the voting process, the vote was equal.
Yep.
And of course, as the chairman of PITA, I had the final vote to cast the vote to say who would get it. And at the back of my mind, I had 3 reasons to cast my vote. And I shared it with the ESCO as well. Reason 1 was Pakistan has never hosted before.
True.
Reason 2, very importantly, we wanted to see what Pakistan was made of. Because if you look at the history of the APTICTA Awards the last 20 years, Pakistan has won a number of awards. And some of those awards that we see, the IT contribution in that, it's very high, the standards are high. So obviously it's a hidden gem, so we haven't seen it.
True.
But third, I think very important, we wanted to open up the door so that we could help this community, because APTICTA is about ICT community.
True.
With 16 economies. So based on those facts, I gave the reason that I cast my vote and I gave it to Pakistan.
Wow, and we certainly want to thank you, Mr. Chair, and it's because of the fact that Pakistan, obviously on every front, has always been very resilient, and we're a very hospitable nation, so very warm welcome once again. And for all of those people who are actually watching us on television and are here for APTICTA Awards, it's a warm welcome on behalf of the entire nation. And inshallah, we'll see you tonight at the Pakistan night as well. You know, the inaugural session was at the Prime Minister House. Yesterday it was a welcome night. It's wonderful. And we'll get into that detail, but let's get the work sorted first.
Right.
So obviously, you know, you giving these 3 reasons, I think in particular that those were the 3 reasons why we would have wanted to host APTICTA Awards in the first place. But now, sir, when we speak about APTICTA Awards, you know, for people who might not be very well aware of the IT industry and its awards system and how it works, because they say that it is no less than the Oscar for Hollywood. So let's identify and share the importance of APTICTA Awards for all of these 16 Asia-Pacific economies.
That's a great question. The success of APTICTA and the branding of APTICTA over the last 20 years has been its judging system. The way the awards are judged are pretty stringent. We have a number of categories,
Yes.
and each category we do have 1 head judge, and we normally have 3 other preceding judges, and they're made of all different economies, mix and match, and judges who have subject matter experts. And then the marks are based on certain criteria,
All right.
a number of criteria, and they must match up. And then obviously with that, if there are any disputes, then the head judge will deliberate with them
Right.
in consultation, and
Yep.
then the scores will be submitted. And if there is still issues, that the advisory judges will then take over and look at that and see if that's something that we need to resolve.
And for example, if we are to share some categories and what the criteria might probably be, is it what kind of solutions did we come up with which was very helpful for the society, or probably how it helped businesses to grow? So is that how it works?
Actually, we had a permanent 17 categories,
Okay.
starting from hardware, software, startups, technology, R&D, and the list goes on.
Yeah.
And also business applications, for example. But what we did was then, in 2013, we then we decided, I was the head of the judging subcommittee.
Wow.
So I decided that we should go away somewhere, lock ourselves for 2 days, and revamp the entire judging system, and simply because the landscape of technology is changing.
Oh, yes.
The way business operates are changing. I mean, today, people used to say that IT is the enabler of business. That's a wrong concept.
All right.
Today, IT is the business. So I think we should understand the fact.
Exactly.
So obviously, we have to keep up with the trends. Since the branding and since the awards are so precious, we want to make sure that we also align as we move along.
True.
For example, in any category, you would have the business, so-called, the technology,
Yes.
deployed the business, the marketing, and why you say your product is actually what made you so special. I mean, there's some of the things that we do. But in that, we have other assessment criteria underneath that. So it is very stringent. It is not easy. And by the way, we also have got AI algorithm behind,
All right.
which means we can see if the judge is favoring that economy, their own economy, or if there's a collusion, or if there is syndication, we can catch that at the back.
So what we're trying to say over here is that we do have the jury in place, and we want the jury to decide whether who provided us with better IT solutions, and then we have IT at the back deciding whether the jury was fair enough or not.
And this is done just about near real time.
True.
As the scores have been done, the advisory judges in a private room will be looking at all the scores, and they would see, then if there was a dispute, there was a concern, they would then get the chief judge, who is the executioner, if I may use the word in this context, will go to that room where the judging has been held,
Yep.
and will tell the consult with the head judge and say, if, was there a problem here, or why did we, what was an issue?
So it's all fair.
Make sure everybody's fair. There was no submersion for anything that
Yep.
that could contradict the scores. And so the process is very strict. This is why the value of APTICTA is so high.
Exactly.
Because if you win an APTICTA award today, and I can share some examples, I had to have a Malaysian company that won the award 10 years ago, and they're now in Australia, in Philippines, in Hong Kong, and with the award they have actually gone. And when you tell somebody that you won an APTICTA award, usually the ice is broken because everybody knows about the APTICTA award.
So it's like, if you happen to be as a nation and a APTICTA award recipient, what will happen is that the world will open its doors for you.
In the Asia Pac.
Yes,
at the
in
moment.
Asia Pacific. And I think that's wonderful. This is the kind of an opportunity we're looking forward to, because as an agrarian society or economy dependent on agriculture, we have certainly wanted to move on to information technology way longer.
Correct.
And now finally, it's the second highest export over here in Pakistan. So Ministry of IT might be doing something very wonderfully well over here. But say very quickly, just because I'm inquisitive in nature, it's a morning show for people to understand it better. You said that it's not the businesses, it's the IT which is the business now. So then why do we, because I think that we might have to rebrand a few things, because we say ITES, information technology enabling services. Do you think that we can go back and then probably be like that this is what enables everybody to do whatever they want to do?
But I think, if you look at the whole landscape, gone are the days where you would have a business sponsors that will look at what they want to do,
True.
where they want to scale the business. When that is done, then they will pass a piece of work to the IT department and say, here, go look at it, and we want this to be done.
Exactly.
So that enabling part process is actually misaligned. But what is happening today in modern day businesses, the IT is involved in the planning strategy.
True.
Because they want to say, no, why don't we do this, why don't we add that? We can actually scale this way.
True.
By the way, do you want to scale it in the next 3 years or 5 years? Let's develop that pipe now, so that when you scale, it's able to support that business. Wow. So that's why I'm saying IT is the business now. So the engagement strategy has to be correct.
Exactly.
The mixture has to be correct.
Exactly.
And in these APTICTA awards, we are actually singing that tune. We are bringing people to let them know that part of the strategy here is, first and foremost, of course, the community together. Secondly, is to bring the knowledge together. Because if I was coming to Pakistan, then I thought I'm in Malaysia, for example, that I developed something that looks great, but there's no KPI.
Yeah.
But if I compare that against another economy like Pakistan or even Hong Kong or even Singapore, then I know where I'm standing.
True.
So the whole idea of APTICTA is to bring everybody together,
And
business
have a fair
match,
comparison.
fair comparison, compete with each other, look at each other, get the network going, and open the doors. And this is why we do this all the time.
And how do you think that it's going to help the regional economies?
Well, I think at the moment, as you know, that pretty much what's happening is most economies wants to go beyond borders. Correct?
Yeah.
They will always try to get to their local embassies or councils or consultants that would advise you how you go beyond business. But once you get into this framework of
You
APTICTA,
don't need all of that.
all that, it's immediately open. But let me qualify too. While you expand, like in the case of Pakistan, if you look at most of the exports are, I hope I'm wrong, but I think I'm right, most of the exports are to the West. Most of the exports are to the West. But I think there's a huge market to be tapped in the Asia Pacific area with all the countries that are in the neighbor country. So with this opening of the door, that combination creates a whole new dynamism,
Yeah.
landscape, so that we can then meet each other. And I think the one other thing I was personally trying to break on my own accord was break the ice of the fear factor.
True.
Because a lot of them who's been here today and arrived today are absolutely surprised. And I've been singing that tune with the team over 9 months to try to get them to come over to Islamabad.
Yes.
And because of, sometimes
The way media projects us.
media projects something similar. So the people do get ideas and the fear factor is there. So we even had one of the judges, took a tour around Rawalpindi, the mountains, took a video, and we shared the video across all the economy. Say, look how safe it is. We are walking on the streets, we have no problem.
Exactly. And sir, in connection to that, I think I would want to have a word with our audiences as well. So imagine when we speak about Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, we have religious tourism over here. Kartarpur corridor, I think, happens to be one of the most amazing examples. Not just that, we go down to Wakand and beyond Takshila, I think we have Panja Sahib over here as well. So, that's religious tourism. Not just that, I think when we speak about peaks, 8,000ers, we have 5 of them over here. And, so the list goes on. The highest ever cold desert is in Pakistan. The highest ever ATM put in place, I think, is over here as well. So, and not just that, with a variety of seasons, you will see that Pakistan is the place where people have enjoyed the most. Over the past 5 or 6 years, we've seen that there's been a shift. Now, people eventually come over. For example, I do these music and food festivals, all across the country. Imagine that we have foreigners coming in, flying for those festivals. Not just that, we have England playing over here, Australia was here earlier. Not just that, Sri Lanka was here, Bangladesh was here, West Indies was here. So I think we've opened up doors. And yes, exactly, that's what I realized, sir, when I went to Serena yesterday, because all of those people, gentlemen and ladies who've actually flown from 16 different economies to Pakistan, they were very surprised and shocked to see the kind of facility we had over here, or what we had to offer to people. So how did you in the first place have been convincing them for the previous 9 months? Were you here in Islamabad prior to this as well?
Actually, I was here in August.
Wow.
We wanted to do some recce to find out whether the preparation were, because APTICTA hosting first time is not easy. There are many, many parameters, underlying issues. But what we were very glad was at the time when we awarded to Pakistan to host APTICTA 2022, we were comforted by the fact that the ICT ministry was behind.
True.
And for us to be here recently, as you know, the Prime Minister, thank to hit the Prime Minister and his office too, to officiate the opening night.
Yes.
And hosted a dinner, which never happened in the history of APTICTA.
Wow.
I was absolutely taken a bit back, I must be honest with you. So these are the signs that we saw created the ambience for us to sing the right tune.
Exactly.
Now, having said that, along the way, in any country when there are situations of change, you always have the fear and have a fallback plan. But even at that moment, the ESCO got together and we were thinking, do we need to have a fallback plan?
Okay.
But we felt that if the ministry was behind pushing, they will certainly see to its end. And we confidently said, I put the foot down and said, let's go forward and let's move on. And for the 9 months, we have been singing that tune. Safety, comfort, good place to go, hospitality, all the great things about Islamabad. And in some of the videos that appeared in some of the economies, they wanted to hear from me,
Yes.
not from their own economy leader, so to speak. So I've actually participated and contributed to that. And I was trying to maximize the mileage. In fact, when we arrived in Islamabad, one of the advisory judges from Brunei said to me, I should have listened to you, Stan. I said, why? What's the problem? He said, I should have brought my wife. Because I'm here now. But I really, she missed the glamour, and that would have been absolute, kind of, hit a nail on the head.
Exactly.
But I said, you can always come back.
Exactly. And I mean, always, Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, will welcome you with arms wide open as well. But I think I would want to kind of speak about that gentleman. I've forgotten his name. If you can remind me of, because he was over here in Pakistan and he made these vlogs, which people did kind of see.
He was a
and
Professor Fan.
Professor Fan. So wherever he went, made Rawalpindi, Nathia Gali, he would have samosas and pakoras, and that literally helped people convince their spouses to that, hey, you know what, let me go. And then they were like, okay, where are you going? Pakistan. So things will change, and it will open up so many more avenues. Imagine one of our guest, who happens to be here for APTICTA Awards, bought dry fruit worth 100,000 rupees just yesterday. So I think it's going to open up more avenues, and once they go back to their countries, obviously, or economies, that's how you would want to refer to it. I think it will be very beneficial for us. And
I want to add a comment, if I
Sure.
may. While I don't lose my thoughts, drain of thoughts, I should say. When the ICT is actually moving, there's a push from the government, there has to be a parallel support in terms of the policies supporting that.
True.
Because in many of the economies that we see, while the ICT wants to move forward, but sometimes the policies hold them back.
True.
And creates a bit gaps here and there. So perhaps in this context, maybe now that we are here, now that everything is opened up, and for the world to see it, the rest of the other economies that have been here, perhaps there could be one easy way for us to conduct business across the borders, and how we can share talents.
Exactly.
And talents is a big issue right now.
Exactly.
Why I say that, here's my point. If you have an opportunity in life, you must have talent to support it.
True.
If you have talent, you have no opportunity, you also can't do anything. But with the two combined, makes it a powerhouse, and then you can look at the understanding of what you want to do, and then the strategy to support that to move forward. And in this equation, I'm hoping that in this APTICTA Awards and the business matching, the students exchange program, for example, the networking that's going on, people will feel home and they want to do business with each other. That's my objective.
Exactly, and that's the objective with which we really need to move forward. And thank you very much for, sir. I think that this is going to be a highlight of the show, because this is how any economy can actually grow. Imagine that once you will have these softer collaborations, people working together, smartest of the brains from all the economies, it will help us and it will help them. And I think it is for the Ministry of Information Technology and for the government of Pakistan to understand whether where can we have those policies in place where the environment is more conducive and inclusive for people to work together, so that it benefit not just us but for all the economies who are working amongst us as well. But Mr. Chair, we're glad that you were here with us. It was wonderful to be in conversation. Very quickly, it was the welcome night yesterday. You went to Munal, one happens to be one of the most amazing restaurants in Pakistan so far. How was your experience, and how's been your experience by far?
I think if you ask me to tick in the box from 1 to 10, from the time I arrived at the airport, I will give it a 10. From the time we were picked up, I'll give it a 10.
Wow.
By the time I got to the hotel, I will give it a 10. And all this contribution of the scores, I must really, really give 100% credit to the organizing team from Pasha.
True.
I mean, there were 3 of them. They were key players when we started the journey in March. And of course, we had
Badr,
we had Hira, and we had Dr. Shoaib, who worked with me.
Yes.
And of course, later when there was a change in the leadership, which happens everywhere in the world, and when Zoeb came in, then he gave us his support as well to ensure that the journey completes. So I think that was a great, but a lot of planning. It's not easy.
True.
They work overnight. They work lots and lots of long hours. And you can imagine the people behind the scene are using laptops, even in a car, in the bus, in the restaurants, trying to making sure things are okay, we are taken care of. All that becomes part and parcel. And it's a good observation. The optics are very good. So everybody that I speak to, in fact, yesterday I had an ESCO meeting, and I shouldn't tell you what's happened outside the ESCO meeting, but the comments that appeared, that shared, everybody gave a 10.
Wow.
And they were extremely happy. And I've never seen this kind of reaction in other ESCO meetings that I've been to. I'll be honest with you. But I wanted to gauge to see whether it was justified, what I did.
Wow, and it is justified, and sir, we are humbled, we are honored, and thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for being with us, because when we speak about you being in Pakistan, I think it's Mr. Stan being in Pakistan. So thank you very much once again for everybody who's out there. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, right at the beginning I said where credit is due, it's due. So obviously Ministry of Information Technology, we really need to talk about Pakistan Software Export Board, Mr. Badr, Ms. Hira, I met them just yesterday as well. And then on top of that, I would like to congratulate Mirador as well. So Adil and Tipu, you guys have been wonderful and phenomenal. Maybe any government evening or function, maybe anybody coming to Pakistan, I think you've always made it look wonderful. True professionals. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, once again for being with us. And we would like to have you over and over again whenever you feel like, with arms wide open and the best hospitality. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is that we're going to go out for a short break. We need to come back, speak about another issue, which is very prevalent when we speak about Punjab. What is it? I think that too after a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid Bhatt.
When we write something, we share our vision.
This is a very good opportunity to discuss everything.
It was devastating to see the impact of these monsoon floods.
250 recommendations were given to India from various member states, and unfortunately only around 152, 153 were implemented.
Germans are very straight people. They generally have a positive impression about Pakistan.
The longer the president postpones the establishment of a new government, the greater the problem that we are facing in Sri Lanka today.
Outcomes that we are looking through RAST is greater engagement of women.
England returned to Pakistan after 17 long years. Under Ben Stokes, England are a resurgent side. But they are up against Babar's fighting unit on the Shaheen's home turf. This will be a test of nerves, strategy, strength and composure. Watch the historic Pakistan versus England Test Series 2022 live and exclusively on PTV Sports HD.
Very much for staying tuned to PTB World. You're watching World this morning. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan. I'm very happy and lucky to be your host for the past 10 years. Earlier, we were in conversation with the chair of APTICTA Awards, ladies and gentlemen, taking place over in Pakistan for the very first time. Really very important. And, you know, just to kind of gauge your importance around that, it's exactly the way Oscar Awards take place in Hollywood. So APTICTA will open up more avenues for Pakistan. And there were three conditions why they decided how we can go back to Pakistan. And I think it was so heartwarming for me to listen to all of those amazing comments made by the chair of APTICTA Awards as well. But now coming down to another important subject, obviously the air we breathe, ladies and gentlemen, or the environment we live in have a lot of, or a bigger impact on our lives, on our health, the way we are. So imagine these days, we do know that in Punjab, we have this very prevalent issue of smog. Now, when we talk about smog, when we look at it, it looks very foggy. You know, people do actually confuse it with fog, but not anymore, because when it happened, this very phenomena for the very first time in our Punjab, may it be Lahore, may it be Multan, may it be any other region of Punjab, we do see that it's increasing every single day. When we speak about air quality index, AQI, the maximum is 500. From 0 to 50, it's normal. From 50 to 100, ladies and gentlemen, you know, you keep on going up. So imagine from 50 to 100, it's moderate. When we go from 100 and 150, it's unhealthy. And when we go beyond 150, ladies and gentlemen, we're progressing towards hazardous as well. Imagine Punjab has announced that the children's school will actually stay shut for 3 days of the week. And those 3 days happens to be, I guess, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What's the point? We really need to come up with a more better technology. I would want people to go back in time and think about how when it was COVID, the sky was more clearer, it was more cleaner, there was no smog issue out there, and you know, the remote learning was on. So why can't we go back to that? But first things first, Why do you think that this phenomenon continues to be over here in Pakistan, in the Punjab region? We go across the border, it is prevalent over there as well. Why in the first place do we get smog? Ladies and gentlemen, to answer all of these questions, we're very lucky that we've been joined by somebody who happens to be a water scientist. He's the talk of the town. He is Mr. Abdullah Deol. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum assalam, thank you very much.
How are you, Abdullah?
I'm really good, and
Really
how
good.
are you? And I'm really excited to be here on your show again.
Thank you so much. So imagine even Islamabad at the AQI is at 170, which means that we are breathing unhealthy air.
Exactly. I think what we are lacking is a stable policy. You know why this program is really great? Because just like you announced that you're here for 10 years, congratulations, it's
Thank
a
you so much.
decade, it's a stability.
True.
Maybe governments can look at you, that's how you run an institute, that's how you run something successfully.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, it's always exciting to be here, and yeah, just like this, I gave an example. So the problem with the smoke right now in Lahore is they are using retired tires, you know, the tires which are useless.
Okay.
They crush them and they use them as
Again.
a burning fuel in the factories, in the brick kilns, and in the industrial waste. So it's not just the coal we are crying about, it's not the cars.
It's the burning of the tires.
Yes, it's the burning of the tires as a fuel to produce all these industrial items. So how can you fight that?
Yeah.
And then you hear some kind of arguments that, oh, this air is coming from India. What about Karachi? It's on number 2.
Yeah.
So where the air is coming for Karachi?
True.
So I think if we did not take ourselves seriously, if we do not take ourselves seriously, the time will come when the world will stop taking us seriously.
True.
Right now, okay, there was a flood, there was a climate change, developed countries.
Energy crisis, we have so many issues.
So this time we said, okay, this is because of developed countries and they gave us some funding. But right now, what is happening in the air quality index, this is because of our own irresponsibilities.
True.
And if we won't take it seriously, a time will come, nobody will help us.
But just
Not
the
international
tires
community.
cannot be true.
Yes, there's so many things.
major
For
contributor.
example, actually the AQI is composed of 5 things. It's the ground level ozone. And then you have carbon monoxide in the air.
The carbon
and
footprint obviously
yes,
is there.
and then you have sulfur dioxide, and then you have the other air pollutants in it, and nitrogen monoxide is the main one, which is from the vehicles. So there are 3 sources for smoke. One are called the mobile sources, which are vehicles, trains, trucks, cars. The second are called the stationary, which are the industrial waste or the houses or the brick kilns I'm talking about. And the third one is called the ground ones.
And what about the agricultural
The areas,
waste?
yes, that's the third
Yes,
one,
okay.
the agricultural waste. The problem is we're using outdated technology. I think I have talked about this regarding floods before. So it's the same for the agriculture. So what we are using is instead of having those machines and economical crisis, our farmers cannot afford those machines to basically just cut those crops of the previous season from the roots. So they basically burn them instead of having those machines to just
take
them out. So they're not just plugging them out and they're burning them. So it causes, this is one of the factors. But the second and the most important factor is because of unplanned urbanization of the entire city, both Karachi and Lahore. Even if you look at India and Delhi, it's also because
These
there's no
cement
planning.
towers we are
Cement
constructing
towers,
these
concrete
days, do you
jungles.
think it actually contributes towards the
Yes, for
current
example,
situation of
Islamabad
smog?
is now 171, which was never more than 50.
True.
Because we are having now a lot of societies and a lot of new sectors being developed. From G11, there was just G11.
Is there
Now we
anything
have
with green gas emissions too?
yes, it has, but the most is with the concrete. And there was agricultural land. There was green spaces around Islamabad, around Lahore. Now we are losing it. The air quality of F6 is different than the air quality of, I think, if you go to G11 or if you go to G15, totally different.
I think E11 it's better, you know, because, you know, before you enter E11, you know, so do you know that patch on Magla Road from F10 till E11? It's more colder, and and the sky over there is more cleaner, and you can feel that difference too as well. But how do we curb this menace? Obviously, on government levels, we really need to kind of prioritize it, and by just shutting down schools, it's not going to happen.
No.
So every single time, because Alhamdulillah, I happen to have a house in England as well. So imagine whenever we go over there, so there's this criteria, you know, so you really need to go to this inspector kind of a guy who will check my car, he will give me, okay, it's Euro 5 pass certificate, and then you can have it on the road. But over here, unfortunately, we see all of those buses from 1960s and 70s who happen to be
even our latest cars aren't emitting that amount of carbon dioxide like the standard ones. So I think you were right. This holiday is not going to do anything. We are still in Lahore. The person who's living in Lahore is in Lahore.
Yeah.
The only thing it can help you is like maybe in the traffic. There will be less traffic because of nobody is going to office. But talk about how much harm it's going to provide to the economy. Because if offices are closed on 3 days, imagine your stock market is closed on 3 days of the week. We're losing.
True.
If your students are not going 3 weeks.
No, but why can I think COVID.
So what
COVID
we can do, the first thing for tackling smog is to have a latest and a grand public transport system.
But for that kind of a transport system, we really need those transport vehicles
just
to come
like you
outside
talked
our
about
places. You know, that's the kind of
we need metros and rural line trains, not on just one specific route, but the entire route of the Lahore.
True.
We have a population of, I think, more than 11 million.
So you walk 5 minutes away from your home, there needs to be a bus or any vehicle which can take you anywhere you want to go.
And you know, there are rules. If you look at the Constitution of Pakistan, you will read beautiful, beautiful rules. It's like you open Quran and it's beautiful book. But the problem is implementation.
True.
So I think there need to be strict rules. If we, I started my conversation with this. If we did not take it seriously, if we do not take it seriously, nobody will take it seriously for us, and there will be a general concern for us in the future. But people won't help us. We need a concrete scientific research. We need a scientific institute for that talk about it, and then we need strict zero tolerance policy when it comes to air quality, because it causes asthma, lungs cancer, heart attacks, strokes, paralysis.
It chokes you, at times, because just last week I was in Lahore and at the AQI it was at 475. Imagine, so it was difficult for me to even speak. Imagine that every time I spoke, there was this pinching thing over here in my throat, and I could feel it that I'm not breathing good air. And imagine that if you're not even breathing good air, you live in a place or a country like that.
Let's plant more trees.
Imagine how you can have that life expectancy go up to 80 or 90 years when we compare it with abroad, and how much effort do you think that our healthcare providers will have to put in place? Now, but what I wanted to say over here was that, even amidst COVID, nothing stopped, right? The only thing which took place was that we really need to come down to where it was remote learning for people or students from school and colleges and universities. And then, there were away days for people where you can work from home. And it actually did help quite a lot. It's not that the industry was stopped, it was at halt, or the economy wasn't working. Everything was working. So why can't we actually have this idea that, okay, twice or thrice within a week, on weekdays, we can work from home? And then later on, 3 days, we can go to our offices and kind of do something wonderful. And how do you think that we're going to go and make the industrialist gentlemen understand that you cannot burn tires to fulfill your need, even though that we are on shortage of electricity or gas as well? How do you think? Because, for people to keep their industry going on, that's something which is really important for them. So when it comes down to understanding that, okay, that this is how much they're contributing towards the AQI and the bad quality of the air, I think it gets harder for them to understand.
Yes, I think for them is like my lifespan is 60 years, I'm going to die, I don't care what's going to happen for the coming future. So what we can do is to have really heavy fines. For example, you talked about England. You break a rule, you get a really heavy fine for that. And then you think about your next generations to come, how am I going to give away this money, because sometimes there is so much heavy fine that people actually lend money just to pay the fine. So I think first of all, we need to have really heavy and solid fines. Motorway, if you look at motorway, you're overspeeding, no matter what you do, you're gonna find. You cannot say, oh, my uncle is this, my friend is this. No, you're gonna pay fine. So first of all, zero tolerance policy. This is the only thing. Okay, you can educate a new generation. You can educate people or students in the school, in the colleges, but they're not the ones that are burning tires. We need to educate them. If they are not getting educated, if they don't, लातों के भूत बातों से नहीं मानते, then just put them a fine or just seal their industry. There are some institutes that can work from home, but not all of them. For example, if a man has to make bricks, he has to go to work. So he cannot do it from home. But what he needs to do is to have that carbon check on him so that he's not polluting the environment.
Exactly.
And I think we have so many institutes and DCs and all of them. And plant more trees.
Exactly. Man, we certainly need that. But thank you very much, Abdullah, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you, because for the very first time when you were here, you debut for television. Alhamdulillah, after that, we have seen you grow on to almost every other channel, and people require such educated, talented people like you to kind of curb such menaces. But everybody who's out there, I think I'm going to go back in time and kind of relate to it when the current Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Sahab happened to be the Chief Minister of Punjab, and how he used to curb such problems, may it be dengue, malaria or smoke. Ladies and gentlemen, they were very efficient. And even today, I'm very much convinced, I'm 100% convinced that when it comes down to the administrative skills, I think that the government of Mian Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif Sahab is going to outdo anybody and everybody out there, which is why what I would want to request to Punjab government is that other than being a party to political turmoil because of your party inclination, please make sure that you put the country first. And that's something which we have witnessed whenever we have seen PMLN, being in the government. And this is what we have seen, may it be Mian Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif Sahab or Mian Mohammad Nawaz Sharif Sahab, that they've always prioritized the country first. And unfortunately over here, being a Pakistani, there's something which I've witnessed in the previous 4 years where it was always the party first and the country second. Now I'm glad that alhamdulillah we do have the government of Prime Minister Mian Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif Sahab in place who always would prioritize the country first. And that's going to be my only suggestion to the government, may it be in Punjab, may it be KPK as well, that you really need to prioritize your country first and then your party second or your party chairman third. Please make sure that you do that. It is a thought of a Pakistani. It is not of a thought, it's not even a thought of an employee of Pakistan Television as well. So until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, look after yourselves. Good morning. Have a great day. Thank you.